What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Now, today we have I would say it's probably the craziest interview I've ever done. So, in this interview, we actually talk about 4 weeks of states. Treynor, and I'm like 99% sure that's how you say his name. I'm sorry if I said it wrong, but he got top 8 at 4 different states, and at 2 of them he won. So this is his week 1 and week 3 states. He actually won the first weekend in Colorado and made top 8 at Iowa with the same deck. The list is a little bit different. He talks about in his interview what he changed. But as you see, it is a Night March deck, and of course you use Mew EX as ability versatile, so you copy any Pokemon's attacks in play. And when I say any, it's any. He talks about that a lot in his interview, how he uses a lot of different Pokemon attacks with Mew. And as you see, he plays 2 Empoleon, and he also plays 2 Jirachi, which seems pretty cool. I asked about that, of course. And he only plays the 1 Archies. I kind of wish he would have played another, but, he talks about how he got the pulling out a lot, so it seems like it's probably a good play. Obviously, that's why he won and got top 8 again. But, this, like I said, this is part, I guess, 2 of 4. So we'll see the other deck list here in a second. Okay, so for week 2, he actually switched to Donphan Primagroudon, which he got top 8 in Nebraska. And basically, you just use Donphan's spinning turn and basically, do some damage that way while you slowly load up a Primagroudon. And basically, when you have it ready to go, you just kind of wreck shop with Primagroudon. And the deck is very consistent. It's actually Andrew Wambot's list, except he cut out a Mr. Mime and put an Ultra Ball in there just to bump up the consistency. And just wait a second, and we'll see his week 4 deck list. Okay, and for week 4, he probably played my favorite deck overall, which is Virizion Genesect, but this time he had a Mew EX in there, so that way you can copy, or use Versatile to copy Emerald Slash, so that way you can try to get a turn 1 Emerald Slash with just 1 Grass Energy with Dimension Valley in play, which seems pretty cool, and also you can use Seismitoad, as you see he does play 1, and with 1 Grass you can actually copy Quake Punch that way, which seems pretty cool. And as you see, he plays like 1 Megaphone, 1 Tool Retriever. Of course, I asked about those. But hopefully, you enjoy this interview. Like I said, it is the craziest interview I've ever done. 4 different states, basically 3 different deck lists. But once again, I hope you enjoy this interview. Thanks for watching. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Today we're doing another states question answer video. And what's your name?
Treynor Wolfe,
And where are you from?
Nebraska.
Okay, so I know we're actually doing 4 weekends of states. That's pretty crazy. First of all, congratulations, you like top 8 all 4 weekends. That's
Thanks.
pretty amazing. All right,
First
so,
time I ever done that.
there you go. All right. So the first weekend you played Night March. So how'd you end up doing a Swiss?
I went 6-1 in Swiss. I was 5-1-1 because I chose to ID my last match instead of winning it to help my opponent out, give him a chance to top cut. So at that event, I primarily played against Groudon. I think was the most played deck, or like the deck I played against the most. I lost my first round, and it was mainly because my opponent played the Focus Sash on like Baby Landers, and then I couldn't kill it in one hit, and then it was like killing my Joltix and stuff like that. And I remember after that first round I lost, I was like, oh, I made such a bad deck choice. Should not have played it at all. And then I won every round after that. Like, I chose Night March because it had, in my opinion, it had a really good prize trade with Flareon because you don't have to evolve to do a lot of damage. And I thought the Flareon was going to be really popular, and I did play against, I think, 3 of them in Swiss, and then I played against 1 in the finals. So, of course, my big concern was Toad, and luckily, not a lot of Toad players, hardly any at all. So, made a good choice, took a risk, and it paid off for me.
Okay. Now going to top 8, are you excited? Are you nervous?
Um, I was excited, and I was pretty like I top cut. Like I top cut a lot of events. What I don't do is I don't win them very often. So I'm like used to top cutting, and I know that my top cut opponent was playing. I don't know what my top cut opponent was playing. It was like I like went to dinner and I was like just like I don't know what I'm playing against. And when he flipped over Virizion, I'm like yes, like it was like awesome. It was like Virizion, Manectric, Genesect, and I'm like okay, and wasn't a bad player or anything like that. Just not a really good deck against Night March. I 2-0'd him pretty easily. It's just tough for him to play against Night March because I just go so fast. My second round, I played against a Toad Manectric deck, and the weird thing about the Night March deck is that it actually doesn't have too poor of a matchup against Toad. Mainly because Mew could Quaking Punch as well, and it has a one retreat cost. Like, you could kind of hang with them as long as they don't play a trump card too early. Like, if it's really late and they play that trump card, um, helps a lot. He also played Mewtwo down and gave me the ability to X-Ball him. So um, I used Mew's versatile ability a lot that weekend. It actually made Mew one of my favorite cards in the game. Was when I played it that weekend. I was like, this card's really cool. And so I actually was losing game one, and then I Quaking Punched him, and he played a Verse Seeker for N, and I did not catch it. And he played the N. We shuffled our hands in, and I think in most places he would get the loss, and I would get like a warning. But like there, they ruled that we both got a loss.
Huh.
So it was like one game top eight, top four at that point, and I ended up winning because he didn't get a Quaking Punch off until like turn four. And I've been Quaking Punching his face the entire time and throwing away Night Marchers and everything like that. So I got pretty lucky that game because I needed to be a little bit lucky.
Yeah.
I played against a really good Flareon player in top two. The top two match was a lot of fun because we got like he played Empoleon too, and I've been rolling really well with Empoleon all day. Like, I got a turn one Archie's like I think over 80% of my games. Like, I was pretty lucky that weekend. And in top two, the first game I got a turn one Empoleon. He got a turn one Empoleon, and I won game one, pretty close. But I ended up winning the prize war because Empoleon or Night March just attacks first. So like it doesn't have to evolve. It doesn't have to, like, I could stream attackers easier. And then game two was really fun because I got a turn one Empoleon. He got a turn one Empoleon. I got a turn two second Empoleon. And he got a turn two second Empoleon. So we Empoleon warded a little bit. And I ended up winning that game too. It was pretty close then too. All came down to that prize trade where I take the first prize and I tossed all my Mews. I did not want to give up two prizes. I was really careful about benching Jirachi so he can't take two prizes at any time. So I really took advantage of that. Like, I take the first prize because I attack first, and you have to evolve to attack to do a lot of damage for the most part. You know, so that was week one. That was Colorado State's.
All right. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Had about I think like 90 players there
Uh-huh.
from I think like Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and then there was like a small contingent like us from Nebraska. So
Okay. Now we're actually going to skip week two because I want to go to week three because you did play the same deck.
Mm-hmm.
So how'd you end up doing this? Where was that and how'd you end up Swiss?
Iowa.
Okay.
Iowa was about 80 some players. So I played. I'll talk a little bit about week two. Week two, I played Donphan, and I didn't see any Toad players. So I was like, dang, I should have played Night March. And then for Iowa, I was like, I'm going to play the deck I'm most comfortable with. I was not really happy with Donphan, even though I did top 8 with it. I lost in top 8 because I played like 4 Karina in the deck, and like I lost my top 8. Like, I lost a really big match because I only drew Karina on my opening hand, and then I just played Karina for like a Pokemon and a Verse Seeker, Like, I had to do that for so long. Really sucked. So I was like, I don't think I really like this deck, even though it was inherently really good. Being able to spinning turn into something that has like a Robo Sub, and then while powering up a Groudon, the strategy was really sound, really good. I would consider playing that deck again. I just play it differently. But anyway, so I decided to go with something I was comfortable with, and I knew that Eggs was kind of getting popular, so I chose to switch out Empoleon for a Toad. And when you play a Toad early, and you Quaking Punch with that Toad against Eggs with a Mew, it actually shuts them down quite a bit. Because as long as they don't play like Flare Grunt or Xerosic, they're not getting rid of any of your energies. You're two-hitting them if you have a Muscle Band down. You could constantly shut down all their items and stuff like that. So that was a pretty sound strategy that I tested out. And so I decided to play against that. I did lose against Eggs in Swiss. I I won. It was a 3-game series, and I lost against it. So it's not like an easy win thing. It just kind of makes the matchup a little better for you,
Hmm.
because otherwise that's almost an auto loss for you. So, um, and I decided to keep the one Empoleon. It's really hard to play Night March without Empoleon, in my opinion. That Empoleon with the diving draw just makes it so much better for you. Gives you an attack without having to use Night March if you get trump carded. Gives you a way to dump Night Marchers. You're dumping it anyway. The deck just moves so quickly. Like, it's just such a good addition to the deck. So in Iowa, I played against Toad, I think, twice in Swiss. It was a 7-round tournament. No, I played it. I played it 3 times, I think, and I beat it all 3 times.
Yeah.
Um, I played my last round was really tough because I was actually 4-0 on the day, and then I lost my next 2, and I was like, oh crap, you know. And I played my last round against Colton Day, and he was playing Toad with Aromatisse, and the first game I had started Lone Joltik, and he laser dogged me, and I was like, I am not gonna. This is gonna really suck. And I won game 2, so I'm like, there's hope. And game 3 rolled around, and miraculously, he didn't have his trump card. It was prized, so I won that game too. Kind of felt bad, but it's Pokemon. You can win anybody can win any game anywhere with any deck. And in my opinion, that's just kind of how it is.
Hmm.
That's what makes the game good. That's what makes the game bad. So, and then I lost to a Dawn fan player in top 8.
So what happened in the top 8 though? Like,
Um,
it's like a bad matchup.
it is a bad matchup because I actually won. It actually went to game 3. I won game 1 because I got a Lysander like 3 turns in a row. Because if you dump the Lysander with Battle Compressor, you can Verse Seeker the Lysander back in your hand a lot of times. And typically, if you set up a Pumpkaboo, it could be kind of hard for them to spinning turn it and kill it. And you could actually kill their Groudon before it becomes a Primal Groudon pretty easily since you do so much damage. But they could always spinning turn into Robo Subs and not give you any prizes. So it's a little bit challenging to play against. It's really challenging to play against Donphans. My list does play 2 Escape Ropes, and the reason why I played 2 Escape Ropes week 1 was for Groudon. So if they keep something up with a Focus Sash, I could Escape Rope it out of there, and I could attack something else because it's all about just drawing the prize. I don't care what the prize is because my attackers are expendable. I just want to draw prizes all the time.
True.
And when Donphan has 2 Robo Subs out, I can't even Escape Rope that out, So it's hard. And the person playing it was really good with it too. I don't remember everybody's names or anything like that because that was about, I think, 3 weeks ago at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But he played it really well, and I think he made it to like, I think he lost in top 4 to a Yveltal player. So that's pretty much Kansas or Iowa for me.
Right. Well, I have some questions about your deck real quick.
Okay.
So, after playing the tournament, would you make any changes to the list, or do you think it's pretty solid?
For Night March?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that deck is... I would not change a thing about it. It runs as smooth as butter. I never felt like my deck ever failed me. It's just matchups. I think I'll honestly say that that's one of the best lists for Night March that I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Just obviously because I made it with with help from my friend Jordan Ellie, who ended up doing really well at St. Louis, and he also has his World's Invite. We both kind of made the list together. We both played it together in Iowa and in Colorado at the same time. I think the list is just really efficient because it just runs really smooth. It gets a turn one Archies pretty quickly and pretty easily. I'd say about at least 60% of my games I get a turn 1 Archies, so that says something about how good that deck is. So I wouldn't change a thing about it. If you look at next format, Night March is still very viable. I would consider taking out the Jirachis for Shamans, but I haven't really thought too much about next format. But the deck is still really good. It's just the Mew just makes it really good. Being able to use your opponent's attacks, being able to attack with one prize attackers and 2 prize attackers with Mew, as opposed to playing or attacking with Joltik or Pumpkaboo.
Hmm.
and you just do so much damage, and you do it really quickly. Like turn 2, you could be hitting for 180, 200. Even like turn 1 if you're lucky enough. So
Yeah, true.
just a
Now,
really good.
like, now, did you ever want a trump card in the deck, or no?
Um, oh yeah, in Iowa I ran a trump card.
Okay, you did run
Uh,
a trump card. Okay.
I did. I can't remember what I took out. Wait, no. No, I didn't run a trump card. I'm sorry. That was so long ago. I'm sorry about that.
No,
I
you're
actually
good.
never saved my Iowa list, but I never ran a trump card in that list. I had a good reason for not running it, but I can't really remember at this point. If you play a trump card, you could be a little more reckless with your Night Marchers. But typically, when I play Night March, I usually keep 1 or 2 Night Marchers in the deck. Even if like I could go for the one hit, like this particular turn, I usually kept like 1 or 2 in the deck still, and just went for the 2 hit. You know, it's just more conservative and safer to do it that way. I don't think you need trump card if you do things that way. What does suck is if you run out of energies,
True.
and you got to be really careful with your energies because those aren't expendable, even though your attackers are. And just being really careful where you put your energies and monitoring how much you have in your deck. I don't think you really need to play trump card because if you do play trump card, theoretically you could go off again pretty easily, but that's not always guaranteed. So I just decided not to play trump card. I could definitely see why you would
Yeah.
because it is really good in the deck. I just decided not to.
Okay. And why did you decide to play two Jirachi?
Played 2 Jirachi primarily because one, you get the Archies off almost guaranteed, or not guaranteed, but like you get it off quite a bit more if you run 2 Jirachis in case that Jirachi's prized. Because being able to Ultra Ball 2 cards away dumps 2 cards out of your hand, gets you a Jirachi. You could put the Jirachi down. That's another card out of your hand. Get your Archies. Um, Also, the second Jirachi comes in handy later in the game. It just makes running only. I think I only ran like what? Like I ran 4 Junipers, 1 N. So I ran like 5 draw cards,
Yeah.
and the 2 Jirachis helps there. Like the engine's really efficient. Like the 5 draw cards, 4 Reverse Seekers, 2 Jirachis. It turns your Ultra Balls into supporters too. And there's been so many times where I just Jirachi for a Lysander or something like that, or Jirachi for teammates to get 2 cards like that I absolutely need to have.
Hmm.
So I think that in essence, I play the 2 Jirachis to get the turn 1 or turn 2 Archies off more often, and also to make sure that I don't like get like stalled out early in the game by not being able to draw a supporter or something like that. It just made the deck really consistent.
Okay. And then with week two, after playing the Groudon Donphan deck, would you still keep the Groudon in the deck, or do you think it's kind of useless?
And Don Van Groudon,
Yeah.
absolutely, I would keep the Groudon. I didn't use it in every game because Donphan is just. I feel like Donphan's just a good card. Like it has a really good first attack, really good HP, really good type, really good weakness, really good resistance. It's just a good card, and its second attack is really good too.
Yeah.
So you have you have 2 attackers in that deck that absolutely just blow the stadium out and do a lot of damage. So in some games you actually don't even need Groudon, but in those games where you do power up Groudon early enough, like if like theoretically if you're playing against like a Yveltal player and he starts loading up a Yveltal with a lot of energies, they can't kill your Groudon because they can't Lysander it up.
Yeah.
And you have like they'll have to attack with Yveltal first, and then your Groudon could kill their Yveltal. It's just not a good situation for them. And I think that's a situation a lot of people run into when they play against a Groudon deck, is that they have an attacker that you could pull up anytime you get a Lysander, and you have one that they can't. And your attacker is like a timer. Like that Groudon's like a timer. I have like 4 turns, and this thing's going to come out, and it's going to do a lot of damage, and then it's going to die. And if I still haven't won at that point, my Dawn fans could finish the game. And that entire time, like you attach 1 energy to a Dawn fan, and that energy stays on that Dawn fan. It just constantly does damage, and it gives you an opportunity to set up a Groudon. You know, so I think the Groudon should definitely stay in that deck. I was in City Season. I was really not a fan of the Dawn fan deck that ran like all the walls and everything like that.
Yeah.
I just didn't really like that deck that much. I know a lot of people have been really successful with it, and I'm not like dissing on the deck or anything like that. It still is it's a really good deck. It just wasn't like I just didn't really like the idea of running all the walls and everything like that. So the Robo Subs was like that's a good wall for me to hide behind.
Hmm.
And I like the idea of I just love the deck strategy of just attacking constantly with the same attacker while being able to put energies on another one that you cannot Lysander up, you cannot do anything to. Like it's just a good deck with the Groudon in it.
Okay. So I guess now we'll switch over to week 4. And where are
Hmm.
we at?
Kansas.
Okay. I noticed that you're playing like one of my favorite decks, Virizion Genesect, but you decided to
Hmm.
include the Mew in there.
Yep.
Now
So
before I start asking
yep.
questions about that, let's go over some how you did and everything, like what decks you played against.
So I played against. Let's start off how I did. I went 4-1-1, and I was one of the lucky ones to make cut because I think we had like 60 players there. Not enough for a top 8 with kicker points, but like, and also not enough for like, I think that extra round that would like give you a really good guarantee into cut. So it was really brutal because I think like 2 or 3 4-1-1s did not make it in. So you had to really pay attention to your resistance and stuff like that. But I went 4-1-1. I was lucky enough to make it in. Um, Played some good opponents early. My first round, I was unfortunate enough to have to play against somebody that traveled with me, and I played against a Toad Manectric Bats, and we both kind of walked to the table like this is gonna be pretty bad for the Toad player. Like it's gonna be pretty bad. And then like after the first game, he almost beat me, or no, he beat me for the first game, and I'm like, wow, because Manectric with Crobat does some pretty bad things to 170 HP Pokemon, and like being able to attack even at starting with a Toad, like you Quaking Punch a few times, like that kind of throws my jive off a little bit there. So I ended up winning that game, and I ended up we went to game 3 really close, and I moved on past that point. That's like a 50-50 matchup in my opinion. Like even with the Toad, even if they start Toad, like it's just I have to Emerald Slash into a Toad and not something that's going to hurt me later on like a Manectric. You know that actually does kind of suck. You know, and if they start with a Manectric, I'm not hitting a Toad for weakness or anything like that. So um, round 2, I played against a Metacham deck, and the Mew really helped there because I was able to Emerald Slash and knock out Metachams in one hit with the Psychic weakness. And I played like Dimension Valley and stuff like that too. So like I was able to like Quaking Punch, or I was able to like Emerald Slash and knock out Metachams in one hit.
Yeah.
Those games were really close too because Metachams could do a lot of damage even with just one energy, and they can knock out all my EX attackers in like one or like technically 2 hits, but like in one turn. So that wasn't really that. It was still really close. And what's funny is I don't think Genesect really outspeeds decks, but I kind of outsped that one because it needs to constantly evolve to attack. Um, just my thought. Game 3, I think I played against Flareon, and even with the addition of the Toad, it's still not a good matchup for me. And I ended up losing that one 2-0. The first game was interesting because I was getting pummeled. Like I started with the Virizion, and then I had to set up a Genesect and just let him kill that too. And then I ended up getting a Quaking Punch with a Mew plus Trump card with a Seismitoad down, and it like the game shifted to me at that point because it was like you're not gonna do any damage with your Flareon, you're not gonna do very much damage with your Leafeon, and I'm gonna 2-hit all your Pokemon. And he ended up winning because like I had to retreat a Mew because he had 2 prizes left. I had to like retreat a Mew that had a bunch of damage to a Seismitoad, and I could not retreat that Seismitoad after that. So, still not a really good matchup for you, and really well played on that Flareon player's part. Again, I'm sorry I don't remember any of your names. I'm sure you guys are watching me talk about you guys right now.
Yeah.
Game 4, can't particularly remember when I played against game 4 or 5. The last round I ID'd, and I would have played against the Landorus Bats player, and that probably would not have went well for me because I don't play Mr. Mime or anything like that. I think I remember my top cut games more.
Okay.
Top 8, I played against Toad and Toad Manectric Bats again, and those were really close games.
Was
I
it the
lost the
same
first
person?
game. Nope,
Okay.
different guy. Lost the first game, pulled out the other two. The big thing is emerald slashing Manectrics, or like getting my red signals down. Another thing I kind of want to add is like on the day, I think I only G boosted 3 times. So I think that if you could play Verizian Genesect and only G booster like, and you just use your G booster very sparingly, I think that's the best way to play it. Like, because that emerald, you have to make that emerald slash worthwhile. That's why I also run a Lysander in the deck. It's so that I can emerald slash something that I want to emerald slash.
Yeah.
And usually you could play it without Lysander, but you can't Emerald Slash turn 2 and hit something that your opponent doesn't give you, if that makes sense, because you can't like red signal something up and attach to the Verizion. Another thing I kind of want to add is that I only Emerald Slash with Mew probably twice. So like the whole like turn on Emerald Slash was such a cool idea, but I
Yeah.
never was able to really pull it off. It was kind of hard to pull it off. So I think that I theoretically, except for that second round of Swiss, I think I could have theoretically just played regular Verizian Genesect and been fine on the day. So after my top 8 match, I played against Britt in top 4. He was playing Yveltal Darkrai, Toad. And in my opinion, I think that's the most 50-50 matchup is Virgin versus that. That's not a mirror match. Like, it's so... Like, you could get 2 equally skilled players playing those 2 decks, and I guarantee you, like, it'll be, like, an even matchup. It'll be, like, an even record at the end for both players. So, I won game 1. He won game 2, and I won game 3. And I think the big takeaway that I got from that was G-boostering Yveltals that had a lot of energies on them, and also Emerald Slashing, like mid, like not just turn 2, but also like halfway through the game to soften up Yveltal that had no damage on it, so that I could Megalocan it later.
Mm-hmm.
Like hitting that 170 without needing a G booster is a big deal, and denying him his toads and lasers is a big deal too. I actually lost game 2 because he brought up a Genesect and lasered it, and the Genesect had no energies on it, and I couldn't draw another energy. And that was a really smart play on his part. So overall, that was a really, really close series, and I just ended up pulling it out.
Yeah.
My finals match was against the only Eggs player there, and to be honest, I really wanted to play Eggs that day because I play Mew. I actually built this deck to beat Eggs, and I thought there was going to be a lot of Eggs players, and there was only like the one, and he ended up making it to the finals, and unfortunately for him, he had to play the only one of the few Verizian Genesect players there.
Yeah.
And I think the first game, I got my Emerald Slash off. Like, I attached an energy, and then he tried to hammer it off. He only got 1 on his first turn, and then I attached the second one, and then I Emerald Slashed, and then like I think he got rid of another energy. I attached another one, Emerald Slashed again. I think that and then at the end of the game when he scooped, I had 3 energies on a Verizian, and I had a Genesect with 6 energies on it. Because I was like, I don't want you to hammer all my energies off, so I want to make it so that when you hammer my energies off, I'm still attacking you.
Sure.
And I only had those 2 Pokemon out, so there's nothing else that my opponent could red signal or anything like that. Game 2, I had a pretty good opening hand. I got the turn 1 Emerald Slash with Mew, and I just attached a lot of energies to... I Emerald Slash 2 Verizions, so I can Emerald Slash again later and just get more energies out. Yeah. I think the highlight of that game was that I G-boosted his Genesect with my Genesect, just so I could stop him from from red signaling me. So, overall, good matchup for me. I drew what I needed when I needed it, particularly like switches and stuff like that when he tried to like stall me by red signaling things up. Well played on his part. Good deck choice on his part, because he ended up winning a lot of games just by default because he's playing Eggs, and fortunately he ran into me in the finals. So those are all my matchups that day.
All right. Well, congratulations on winning.
Thank you.
All right. So you talk about Mew a lot, but why did you decide to play it in the deck? Was it to try to get the turn 1 Emerald Slash, or did you have another reason behind it?
So at first I played Mew I played Mew in Night March, of course, and I absolutely love playing Mew. It's such a fun card, and I love the idea of Quaking Punching with Mew. And um, Mew is such a versatile card, no pun intended, um, because you could use your opponent's X Ball, you could use your own Emerald Slash, you could use your Quaking Punch, you could use anything really, and that card was just fun to play, and I honestly had a really good feeling playing it when I had it. It actually ended up screwing me in some matchups because of its low HP. Primarily the Toad Manectric Bat matchups. Like if I started with a Mew, I was in bad shape because they would damage it, and then they would just pick it off with bats later, and it was bad news for me. Um, so I played Mew primarily because it was just a good card to play, and being able to Emerald Slash with it and Quaking Punch with it, depending on the matchup, was a pretty good thing for me. And the other thing I kind of want to add is that I like that this deck plays a counter stadium, because some decks ran a Silent Lab,
Hmm.
and I don't like Silent Lab with this deck. I like red signaling.
Yeah.
So I run the 3-dimension valleys to get rid of Silent Labs, to get rid of things, and overall it was just a fun deck to play. I saw Long Buoy post that his deck list, and I really saw his deck list, and I'm like, I don't really want to change anything. It's such a good deck list, you know. The only thing I changed was I got rid of a second Shadow Triad for a second Verse Seeker,
Mhm.
and the deck does not need to run like a lot of Verse Seekers, because usually you Verse Seeker for Lysander, and this deck red signals like every turn. It's awesome. So the two Verse Seekers are fine. Um, I like that the energy switch was there, the muscle bands, the 4 ultra balls, the switches. It just has a lot of tools. It has a lot of cool things that this deck could do.
Yeah.
So big shout out to him, and I definitely made sure that I credited him, and I did speak with him about after this whole series of after Kansas State's, and I feel like it was a really solid play, and I feel like it's a solid play at regionals when that comes up too, because there's going to be a lot of eggs players, going to be a lot of Groudon, a lot of Kyogre, and this deck is pretty good against those.
Yeah. Now, you did play the one Megaphone and the one Tool Retriever. Did you ever wish either one of those was a Zerosic?
No, Xerosic tends to be a little. It's a pretty conservative card because it's a supporter, and Virgin's like a really conservative deck. So I guess it is kind of weird that I ended up playing like something that got rid of my opponent's tools and something that like could get rid of my tool. The reason why I don't play Xerosic is because Xerosic discards, and Tool Retriever puts something back in my hand. So like if I have a G booster on a Genesect that just G boosted, being able to Tool Retriever that back into my hand and put it on a fresh Genesect and G boostering with that's pretty cool. And even though G booster is not something I do very often, being able to move my muscle bands around is a big deal too. I feel like Xerosic's more of something that you want to use to get rid of your opponent's special energies, and that's typically a tool against Toad. And I feel like Virizion Genesect doesn't really have much to worry about with Toad.
Okay. Now, after playing this tournament, would you make any changes to the list, or do you think it's pretty solid?
I thought about like my knee-jerk reaction after the tournament was to make some changes, but after I sat on it a little bit, I don't think I really would. Um, I was like, I should drop an N to play a third Verse Seeker, but then I thought, like, what's really the point? Like, usually I think I Verse Seeker for Lysanders and stuff like that, and Verse Seeker is just inherently just a good card. You know, get any kind of supporter that you want with it. So I think that you might be able to cut a fourth N for a third Verse Seeker if you really want to, if that's more your style, or even like a third Skyla. Um, you could cut the Megaphone too for another card. I don't know what,
Hmm.
but I don't think I really use Megaphone that much. If Garbodor is really big in your area, I would play the Megaphone, because having your ability shut off is no fun. Um, I think the other thing that I wanted to kind of do was maybe add like more things to get the turn one Emerald Slash of Mew and get that off more consistently.
Hmm.
And because, like I said, I only got it off like twice on the day, like just not very often. And you could run a fourth Dimension Valley that's better for more counter stadium stuff like that, or you could run like a third Mew, or you could run both. and
Yeah.
that should guarantee that you start with Mew more often. You get the Dimension Valley down more often, which means that you will get an Emerald Slash down more often. Well, the way that it is right now, it's kind of hard to get. It's a possibility, but it's really hard to get the Mew, Dimension Valley, Virizion on the bench, and an energy on it, a grass energy, you know.
Hmm.
And also, like the good thing that you want to do is that you always want to Emerald Slash to a Genesect, and that makes it even harder because you have to get a Mew, Virizion, Dimension Valley, Grass Energy, and a Genesect. That's kind of hard to do.
Yeah, true.
So, like, I feel like that was a nice thing to have. Like, you have the possibility of doing that, but overall, I think that the only thing that I think what I would change is just I think I would have played just regular Virizion Genesect if I knew what I was playing against in the event. The Mew did not end up helping me too much, but I think the Mew would help more in more egg heavy metas,
Hmm.
and it gives you more game against Flareon too, because it doesn't give you like an auto win, but it makes like a 20-80 matchup like a 40-60, I think, because you could always like Quaking Punch and then Trump Card with Mew, and that's
Yeah.
really good. Um, so overall, I don't think I wouldn't change much with the deck. I would just if you're gonna play Virizion Genesect, like you got to kind of look at your metagame and think like if you want to play regular Virizion Genesect with like a Loomis, or you could run like this version of Virizion Genesect, or you can run like Virizion Genesect Bats,
Hmm.
something like that. But overall, I really wouldn't change much with this deck. It
Okay.
ran really well for me. I got exactly what I think. In essence, what you build a deck for is to draw what you need when you need it, and I
Yeah.
think I did a lot of that when I needed it, when I needed those cards, plus more on occasion. So I think the deck was really well built.
Okay. So, out of all 4 weekends, what was your favorite deck to play?
Night March.
How much?
I'm a fast. I'm a fast. I'm a fast kind of player. Like I don't like decks like Toad Slurpuff. Just make me like I don't know. They're just not fun for me to play. Like they're really good. Don't get me wrong, but like I just don't like playing them. I don't like playing it. I've never liked playing the Disruption deck, and there always is one in every format. Like Vileplume was my most hated card. I just do not like playing Disruption decks. So I always want to play the deck that moves the fastest and does the damage where it wants it the
Hmm.
fastest. It wants to be the first one to do a lot of damage. So um, I think Night March was like my favorite, the best deck I've ever played that did that. Mewtwo Eels was really good at that too, and that was a really good deck too, of course. But
Yeah.
I feel like for the format that we're in, like Night March was a really good play for me to do or for me to play, and adding the Toad to the deck really gave it some disruption options too. So um, overall, I think that my favorite deck would be Night March.
Okay.
But Virizion Genesect always has a place in my heart. Always played it. Always believed in it.
Yeah.
No matter what. Um, Always wanted an excuse to play it again. So I was really glad to see this version come out so I could play it, and not be ridiculed. So love that deck because of the options it has.
Yeah.
So um, so yeah, Night March,
Okay.
pretty awesome.
So, how many championship points are you at currently?
400.
Okay.
Um, Before state season, I was sitting at like 100 exactly, and I was like, this year, at the beginning of the year, I was like, if I get enough points, I get enough points. I'm not like going to actively pursue the World's Invite,
Hmm.
but I still wanted to travel a lot, and my friends wanted to pursue World's Invites, so I was like, I'll just go play. If it happens, it happens. Because of course I'm a university student too. I'm a senior at the University of Nebraska for computer science, so I got real life in the way too, and so I played in city season, and I did all right. I got like 100 points there. And then after I won Colorado, I'm like, dang, I'm only 100 points away. I should actually go for it. So I started to play test a lot more during the week
Hmm.
on PTCGO. Um, Probably the number one way to get better at this game is to play a lot of games on PTCGO with a deck that you get really comfortable with it. So I tested a lot. After week one, I decided to play Don Van for Nebraska States. Top aided there, so I'm like, all right, now I'm only 50 points away. And then when I went to Iowa and I played Night March, um, I felt like it was a really good play, or it was like it's a good deck, but I don't feel like I made a really good deck choice, even though I did make top cut.
Hmm.
because all the toads I played against, like I feel like I squeaked some wins through that if I made a better deck choice I would not have, you know. So after I won that, I got felt really good getting my first Worlds invite ever after playing this game competitively for 4 years.
Hmm.
Um, and then I was like, I think I'm just gonna call it here. I'll judge at Kansas. I'll, you know, and my friend Jordan was like, no, 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 you get money if you finish in the top like 100 or something like that. I'm like, all right, I'm in. You know, I didn't pay for my Worlds ticket. I didn't pay for my plane ticket to Worlds, so decided to play Kansas. Um, really good decision to decide to play. So now I'm sitting comfortably at 400 points, and I'm feeling pretty good. Um, I think that I will probably get top 60 right now. So yeah, Kansas, I just wanted points. I didn't really care if I won or not, but
Yeah.
I was doing well, so why not? You know, keep going. Um, yep.
Okay. So, how many points are you aiming for? Is it sky's the limit kind of thing?
Still this like at this point, like since I hit my best finish limit. I'm
Hmm.
at like I think I would need a top 8 of regionals to get like 10 points or so. I don't know exactly. Like I would need to do really well to get a little bit of points because it would
Yeah.
replace one of my top 8 finishes. So I can't really play at regionals. I am judging at Kansas City regionals, so I'll be judging that and watching and having a good time there. I don't think that we plan on going to any other regionals.
Hmm.
Not really sure, but even if I think that if I went to another regionals, I would play. But I don't think I'm really. I'm not really. I'm kind of laying back right now and taking it easy.
Hmm.
Um, I'll play in league challenges around here. So I think that my target right now is like I've already reached my target. So I think that I'll just kind of go with whatever I get. If I end up getting around like 450 points and making it to the top like 30 in the United States, that'd be pretty awesome. But I don't. I'm sitting at like 37, 38, I think right now. I
Hmm.
haven't checked for like a week, but so I think I'm pretty safe for top 60, and I think that I'm pretty content there. It's going to be kind of a push to make it above that. If I do end up doing well at nationals, then I do well at nationals. I'm still gonna. I think I'm really gonna try and do well at nationals primarily because I want to get all the prizes and stuff for getting so far in nationals, and yeah, and I know I'm going to nationals anyway to play. So
Okay.
I don't think I really have a target, just a goal, and I've already kind of reached it. So actually, I've went above my expectations this season. So
Okay. Well, do you want to give any shout outs to anybody?
um, I guess I want to give a shout out to Jordan because he's my big playtesting partner. I think a lot of people that watch this will know who Jordan is. Jordan Nelly he did really well at St. Louis Regionals this year. Just a really cool guy. Really bounced my ideas off him. Playtest with him a lot. A lot of my decks that I played, we both play at the same time, and so I think that's my one big shout out that I'll give. So
All
a
right.
lot of cool people I've met. Um, a lot of really cool people I met. I think I make a lot of friends every tournament I go to, just because I just love the Pokemon community. I love the opponents that I play against. Like all have been really good sports to me and everything like that. So
Hmm. That's always good.
I guess I want to give a shout out to all my opponents that helped me. Uh, Not like help me, but were
Have
rooting
fun.
for me in the end. I had
Yeah.
fun with playing. I had fun talking to, and all the people that I met. You're all wonderful people. So, all
Right.
right,
Well, thank you so much for doing this interview and good luck at nationals.
no problem.
All
Thanks.
right, man. Take care.
Good luck to you too.